Welcome back today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is going to be part 2 of the equipment tour video. So we'll be going, this will just be at my house and where we live at and where our shop's at. And I guess you could call it the main farm, pretty much. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. And thank you all for watching in advance. And let's get into the video. The home farm, and what we are in is called the tobacco barn. So right here we got our 86 stick shift 1-ton Chevrolet truck, and there's a reason why the hood is open on it, and that's because it is a Chevrolet. But no, actually it's got a dead battery on it and it needs a new starter, and it's got the big bed on here, so we use it for a lot of random jobs that need a big bed, and we got a diesel tank in it so we can haul diesel around. It's a good truck to have when it starts. Alright, so I messed up a few things on this truck. I got confused. But anyways, this is a 2021 model. It's a Ford F350. It is the Lariat package. And it has a 6-foot bed on it. And if we were ordering this truck again, we would have put an 8-foot bed on it. So we've learned from our mistake, because we have a factory hitch in the back of that bed. And with that hitch, it's super far up towards the front of the cab. So with our camper, when we hook up to it, it sits super far up, and then you can't turn very sharp with the camper because the hitch does not extend out, and you'll hit into the side of your cab with the camper. And then you have to be careful with any other trailer, like our gooseneck or livestock trailer, because they're the same way. Next on the list, you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. This is our 2020 Honda Pioneer 1000. We love this thing. It's shaft driven, that's why we love it. It's got 2 seats that fold up in the back, so if you could have 5 passengers instead of just the front 3 seats. And then right beside it here in the next bay, this is our 15-foot batwing. And the reason why we call this barn the tobacco barn is the ceilings. We used to hang tobacco in them back when they did tobacco. I don't know what years that would have been. That's been a long time ago. But 15-foot backwing, I believe this is a 2001 model, and it's the heavy duty. It's quite heavy, by the way. But everything that stays in this barn, like on this side of the barn, is very low profile because of the tobacco. I mean, the ceilings are only, well, I'm 5'9", and there's the ceiling right there. The backhoe. So this is the first piece of equipment my dad bought that had a front end loader. So we've had it for quite a while. I believe this is a 1980 model. It's the 580D, whatever that means. It's a Case IH. So what we have for the front of it is we got the grapple, we have a set of forks for it, and then the bucket. And then on the back we have, I believe this is a 24-inch bucket. Don't quote me on that. That's what I believe it is. And then we also have a trench bucket, which is 12 inches, that we can switch back and forth. Right now, that is the big bucket on there. And this thing is quite a unit when it comes to hydraulic leaks and hydraulic hoses. It's about any time you use it, you got a hydraulic leak on the thing. Okay, so in this area right in here, this is what we call the outside parking, where all the equipment that doesn't have to be in a shed sort of comes to this area. It's right beside our shop here. It's easy to access, and it's sort of on a drone it looks like it's a chaos mess, but it's actually pretty organized how we have it. But right there you just got a little tiny box blade. Now that's just in the middle of nowhere. Now we can get over to our organized part. So right here, this is our 16-foot bumper pull. This trailer, it's good to have so we don't have to use the gooseneck every time. It's good for small stuff. The most this thing wants to haul is our Bobcat, which weighs like 6,000 pounds. So I wouldn't put no more than like 7,000 pounds on this trailer. Right over here, this is what we call the Pioneer trailer. You guys, there's a lot of stuff that you guys are about to see that you probably never seen before. This is just a little small trailer. You could probably put a lawnmower or something on here. But we pull it with our Pioneer that's sitting right there. And it is quite useful for when we need it right now. It's got a tire off the bead. Now we come over. This is a Case IH 480 disc. It's quite useful. The only thing that's bad about it is every single tire on the thing's blown out. And then right here, this is our farm's oldest truck that we have currently. This is a 1976, if I believe. It is a Chevy square body. Me and my dad would eventually, whenever we have some free time and free money, as you would say, is we'd like to go through, you know, new tires, new wheels. It needs to have the motor rebuilt in it, all new body. It's one of those things, it's here for when we have time and spare money. That'd be cool to redo. And have like a, you know, like how people redo trucks and they're nice and they hardly don't ever drive them. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Is another disc. I have no idea how wide. The two wings need to be re-welded on this side, and those wings over there are good, I think. But the main reason we have this one is we're probably going to take the tires off this disc and put them on that other one I just shown y'all. Next up, we got our Case International. Actually, it's not a Case International, it's just an international dump truck. It is a 1600. I don't know how much it holds. It's worked good for us. We don't use it that much. We didn't pay that much for it. It's nice to have when we need it. We do not have the back on here because we put a lot of stuff in here. Like we haul a water tank in here in the spring for our sprayer. So if you have the back on here, it's just a pain. I'm gonna say it's a 1970s model. I don't know when it was made, but my guess is an early 70s model, or sometime in the 70s. And then, as you saw, we used it very much. We just bought it, the gooseneck trailer, 25 feet long, dovetail, two 12,000-pound axles. If you want to see more of it, go back in the last couple videos. The livestock trailer. So you guys know that we had pigs before we had chickens, which is before this whole YouTube thing. Before I was even old enough to really help on the farm, we had hogs. Actually, let me back up. When my dad was a kid, he raised hogs. So we've had hogs for a long time, until probably 6-7 years ago, when the market crashed and we weren't doing enough inventory to keep going and making money, and my dad was working out of state. All that being said, is we still have it. It's aluminum. It's like a 1999, I think, model. It works really good on the tires. We got special trailer tires on there. I don't know what they're called, but they got like a steel sidewall on them to keep them from blowing out. Works good. It's got two 7,000-pound axles on it. So we keep it because we have horses and then other odds and ends jobs that we could use with it. It's good to have. And here is where it gets a little messy, as you'll probably notice. So right there we got this big tank. No idea how much gallons it'll hold, but we used to put hog manure in it, I believe, out of the honey wagon. That wagon that had our corn head sitting on it, we'd put it on that trailer and drive around the fields, and I guess my dad sprayed it out or whatever he did. And right here we got another disc. We own a lot of discs now. Next up, we got a 3-point chisel plow right there. 3-point disc. A 3-blade John Deere plow. A 5-blade John Deere plow. An old honey wagon. A diesel tank. Then right there in front of the tank, you see that cage looking thing? That is a 3-point hitch. I'm gonna say it's I don't know what you call it, but we put hogs in there and then they move them around. Now we got our newly purchased 7-shank John Deere ripper, which we'll have to end up taking shanks off so we'll be able to pull the thing. But we'll use that whenever we can. And right here, this is an old bed that went on the back of one of our trucks we've sold a long time ago. We used to haul hogs in it, so now we just have it sitting here. We put stuff in there that can be outside in the weather, but probably don't need to be in the rain, so that works good. We have it just sheet metal on top of it, and then we just have some random stuff in there. All of this is trash that needs to be picked up. It's a bunch of old rotten pallets. You know how people keep pallets and they never use them and then now they just rot? That's basically, all those need to be burnt. Right here we got our Cat 1990 200 LB excavator. This thing we bought about a year ago, and we like it when it's running, which it has been running ever since we did all the work to it. But what happened is we bought it and we did not know that the motor was completely shot. The head gasket, the gasket between the head and the bottom end of the motor was blown. We had to rebuild the entire motor, like bearings in the bottom end, rings, pistons, head gasket. We went through all the valves and injectors and all that. The motor ran great. We fixed a couple hydraulic leaks. Had to put a new cylinder up top there, rebuild the bucket cylinder. I think that's all of it. But once we did all that, this thing runs great. It can do a lot more than what we need to do. But right here, you guys will hear me talking about it and coming up videos is the pit. This is the pit right here. So this is an old hog barn that has collapsed on itself. It had a concrete pit underneath it for all the manure to fall down, and then you could suck it out. So it is a 6 foot deep pit. It's a 60 by 30 square rectangle. It's not a square, it's a rectangle. I do not remember what year this thing is right off the top of my head, but it's a Kentworth, and I think it's a T600. It doesn't say it on the side, but I think it's a T600. It's a daytime cab. Over the summer we shortened the frame on it a lot shorter than it was because it used to have a 20 foot grain bed on it, and then we turned it into a semi that has a trailer, whatever you call those. I don't know if they have a proper name or not, but I'm gonna call it a semi with a trailer. Congratulations, we have made it to the last destination of our farm. This shop. Right over there, just close your eyes, it's the junk pile. We need to haul off a lot of scrap metal, but we just haven't had time. And I go to a day job during the week, and my dad does too. And the scrap yards are only open from like 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. So that just ain't cutting it. So if you follow, the road comes up, it's everything snowed over, but it comes down this hill. This is what we call the first bay. Now it is a dirt floor, and we wanted to change that this summer, but we never got around to it. We'd like to have all this concreted, but we're working on it. We're doing it ourselves, so it's not like we're hiring a crew. But so we come in, first thing we got right here is the scales. Now this is back when we had pigs. We put the pigs on the scales and then show how much weight we had, and that's how much we charged the person buying the pigs, how much money. And then there's a little door, I'll show you when we get around there, that they shoot out, and we got a chute that would go up into their trailer. Then next up, the combine. This is a 1660 Case International axle flow combine, so 4-wheel drive. I believe this thing is a 1986 or 1989, or in that range of years. Has been really good to us. The amount we've had it 6 years, I think, and it's been really good for us. We've had very small issues with it, or very limited issues, and hopefully it stays that way. So this tractor was the first tractor we used in the chicken houses. As you can see, the transmission comes up from where the steering wheel is. That's to make it more low profile, so it sits lower to the ground. It's around 50 to 60 horsepower, I believe, maybe 65 at the most. I don't think it's that much. It is a gas motor, and I'm not gonna lie, this tractor has its fair amount of issues, but it's good when it works. How about that? We'll put it that way. But we used this in the chicken houses before we ever bought the 75C, and then my granddad, which has passed away, used it all the time with his 6-foot bush hog. You'll have to ask my dad about all the stories of that going on in the hornet's nest that he would find while bush hogging. It's quite entertaining. Alright, before we venture into the next part of the shop, I'm going to give you all a rundown of how this used to be. So this used to be a hog barn that we've transformed into a shop. So like all of this concrete right here, we laid this 2 years ago during the summer because we were tired of working in the dirt and rocks. And like I said, we eventually like to do the rest of it. But concrete is expensive, so that's why we've not done it yet, and we need time, and we've not had that either. But so how this worked is right here, where this concrete meets this old concrete, you had your gate going through right here, all the way back to that wall. So from here over is where the hogs would be, And about right here, I'd say in the middle, we had that feeder right there behind the welders running this way, and that's where the hogs would get their feed. And as you can see, we have a gate running right there on the other side of that gravity wagon that separates, and that's where the second pen of hogs would be. And we got another feeder on that side. So after we had that quick rundown how the shop used to be, now we come to the gravity wagon. So we use this to help with feed. It's got a scales on it, so you can put feed in there and weigh out how much you need and all that. So this tractor right here, 986. Not too long ago we had a history of our two 86 series tractors. But this is a 986 International. I believe it's a 1979 model. So like I said, it's only gotten 1,300 hours on it, which is a fairly new, like barely used tractor. So this tractor has been barely used. Most of its life it ran the grinder mixer for our pigs. And then for 1,000 hours, my dad used it for bush hogging fields. So that leads me to my next item. The good old New Holland grinder mixer. No telling how much grain has been ran through this thing for pigs. I've not been alive long enough to really have any good experience with this thing. All I know is we take it down to our grain bin, which I'm going to show you guys once we get through the shop. We'd fill it up, have all the feed. You got your auger coming out right here. Swing the auger over into the feeders. And I remember my job was to work that lever right there, which turned the auger on. And that is what the 986 ran, pretty much a lot of its life. And now, the good old John Deere 7000 series 6-row planer. So this planer, it's obviously older, but don't let it fool you. This thing is almost mechanically new. Last year we went through and put new gauge wheels on it, new bushings for the row closers, new closing wheels, almost the whole 9 yards, new meters, new transmission system. That was all wear and tear items that we upgraded. And then we also added liquid fertilizer. So now we got 2x2, which is 2 lines of fertilizer that come out behind the closing wheels per row. And then we also got in-furrow fertilizer, which we didn't use it last year, but this year we're going to put a third tank on the planer so it can have 2x2 fertilizer and in-furrow fertilizer. Any mechanical part on this planer has seen less than 500 acres. Next up, we got our Top Air TA 1100 sprayer. So it's got 60-foot booms on it. It holds roughly 1,000 gallons. We have a PTO pump for it, and we got the tires as wide as they can be from the sprayer for stability reasons. And yeah, this sprayer works pretty good for what we do, and we haven't had much issues out of it at all. The next up on the list, the great 1486 International, also known as the biggest tractor we own. So this thing weighs 14,000 pounds, roughly, give and take. It's got a turbo on it, so it's got more horsepower than this one right here. I'd have to look at the, what are they called, like the serial numbers and all that, and look them up, and the engine numbers and all that. But this thing's got more power, weighs more, it can pull more, dual tires on it. This thing, we rebuilt the motor several years ago, and it runs great now. Like I said, you just gotta make sure you watch it because it likes to burn a little bit of oil. But we'd like to, in the future, hopefully coming up sooner than later, we'd like to buy another tractor, another row cropping tractor. We're looking at the Magnum series tractors. They're like anywhere from like 2000 to like 2010 area there, where it's a little bit older, but we had the bigger cab, the nicer interior, and anywhere from like a 190 to a 280 horsepower range with dual tires, of course, and a front wheel assist is the big one we want. But those things are anywhere from 50 to 60, 70 grand, so that's why we don't own one. Next up on the list, the great, the only Caterpillar D3 dozer. Also known as the biggest piece of equipment we own that can also be the most junk we own in one piece. I know one guy commented on one of the last videos saying that he owns a dozer similar to this, and he has great luck out of it. I'm glad for him. I wish we had the same story as him, but we do not. So this thing weighs 15,000 pounds. We bought it on an online auction, and we just rebuilt the transmission in it. We haven't even ran the thing yet because it's having starting issues with wiring and all that. But this thing runs great. Well, it does not run great when it's not running. Let me back that up there. It runs okay when it is running. I have not ran it with the new transmission or new steering clutches in it, so I can't tell you really how it's going to work now. Then we got our good old pile of scrap tires. Every year our county has like a tire thing where they take up used tires with. So whenever that comes, we'll load up a load of tires and take it off because we don't need all these tires. And then right here is the chute that I was talking about when we first got in the shop with the scales. See that there's like a little door right there, I think. You guys can't, I don't even know if you guys can tell it's there. That hogs come out, they go up this chute, which is now quite rotten. And then you'd have your trailer parked right in here. Hogs to go up into the chute. We've not used this thing for several years. It is our 13,000 bushel grain bin. We've talked about bringing it back in to work with our growing row crop operation and stocking it and hauling corn in the winter and all that. We have not done that yet because it needs some upgrade. We have to see a benefit in the market in order to put the grain in the bin. Had this thing filled completely full, and then we had our auger right there. It'd auger out, and we have like a little electric 8-inch auger or 6-inch auger, depending on what we have at the moment in time. And then right over there we have another gravel road that goes by where our fuel tanks are at, and we'd have our grinder mixer sitting there, and we'd load up the grinder mixer and grind the feed, take it up to the shop. There you go. So next up, I did not get to film this item when I was doing it yesterday because my mom was using it, but this is our 1989 Chevrolet. It's a 3/4 ton. It's just a single door cab, or I don't know how you say that, it's lost me. It's just got one door for the cab. I don't know how you say it. I'm struggling today with words. Maybe it's a 2-door cab. But anyways, this is our main farm truck, or it gets used the most, as I say. It's more of our chicken house truck than anything. My mom uses this more than any of us because I'm always using the Pioneer. I like it better than driving the truck around while I'm under parent supervision. This thing gets used just about every day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is my Christmas present to y'all. Obviously I'm a few days late, as you can already tell. I'm filming this 2 days after Christmas, so sorry about that. Better late than never, right? And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or you want to ask about a piece of equipment, make sure you put it down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, faith, family, farming. See you in the next one.